I'm John Trek McVie, the Sheriff of Baghdad. This is the SOB podcast. Talking to a friend of mine, Joz, today. This should be interesting. We're going to talk about we'll talk about some law enforcement stuff. So, hey, tell the guys a little about yourself, who you are, what you do, and we'll get struck.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Chris Joswick, police officer in the Chicagoland area. I've been a cop for about 20 years. I'm with a SWAT team, multi-jurisdictional SWAT team. Basically, what that means is it's not just like a county, a bunch of county guys on the team. We actually have county guys on the team, and we have some municipal police officers from the different municipalities in Kane County on our team. About a 30-man team, I would say. I do a lot of training. That's how I met Shrek, and married. He got a couple dogs, and that's about it.
Hey, so you know what I want to ask you about, right? Because this is a funny story. We've talked about this before over booze, right? So, you guys kind of respond to a call. Talk me through that, because a lot of guys out here, like, we've talked to other guys. We talked to a preacher, a buddy of mine, who had to shoot a guy in it's called the priory, which is the house that the church gives you to live in. Like, he had to shoot a crackhead in his own house, right? Wow. In the church house. So, kind of paint the picture for us, right? You guys respond to I think it was an industrial call, right? Like a business.
It was actually a hospital. You're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm working day shift, training a new guy. We're driving around, and we go and we got to work on some training tasks. It's basically like, reading over policies and all that noise. And get back to the PD. It's a Sunday, so it's kind of slow. And I was like, hey, man, we got to get some of these done. We get down to the police department, and I get out of the car, and I take my phone out of my pocket, and I see Justin Humper. He's a mutual friend of ours, and he sends me a text, and all it says is "do work," and I'm like, "What is he talking about?" So I back out, and I see that I got a text from a SWAT call out, and it was for basically one of the inmates was at the hospital, had escaped from the guard at the hospital, took the gun, and took a nurse hostage. So I get all, I'm trying to get things together at work because I got to find somebody to work the street. I got to find somebody to take my recruit. Luckily, we had a girl on maternity leave that was also a FTO. So she was just like, I'll do training tasks with them. And like, we have like a COP unit, which is basically a community-oriented policing person on our police department. She's a full-fledged police officer, not like a community police officer, but they kind of work with old people and do all this other stuff. She took my spot on the street. I got my kit together and all that's up to the hospital. So, we get there. I park. I get out of my squad car and throw my vest on and get my gun out. And there's some nurse getting out of her car, and I charge my gun, and she looks at me like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Kind of made my way over to our guys. They kind of had a little rally point for us to meet up. So when the call initially came out, there was a bunch of 911 calls on it, and everyone just kind of, all the area, police from the different towns responded to it, and actually kind of got lucky. He was trying to run out back door, and he came down from a different floor into and through the ER, trying to get out the back door. And the cops got there so quick that he peeked out the door. Some guy saw him. He went back in, tried to run back through the emergency room. As soon as he got like through the double doors to the emergency room, some other dudes are pushing from the emergency room entrance, and it kind of secluded him. He just like didn't have anywhere to go, and he got into this little decontamination room right next to the ambulance bay. So yeah,
hey,
dude,
were a lot of people freaked out at the hospital, right? Like,
oh yeah,
you got the SWAT guys pulling a perimeter on the outside of the hospital. Like, you got, I would imagine sick people, hurt people, like, yo, why all these police here today, right?
Yeah, it was pretty chaotic. Like, at first it was just a bunch of patrol dudes kind of locking it down, like, cause they knew he was in this little, like, decontamination room. So they kind of just, like, held the two doors, cause it's a decon room, so if an ambulance pulls up, they can take somebody, into the decontamination room from the exterior of the building, so they're not contaminating them, and then take them in there, wash them down, take them into the hospital. So there's two doors, just those two doors, and no other way in or out. And the people were freaked out. They pretty much started locking down the hospital, cleared everyone out of the emergency rooms, sent them, we started transporting them to different hospitals and all that stuff. But yeah, like, we got there, and, when I got there was a handful of guys that I, knew that were on patrol, but were also SWAT dudes, and then some just, like, regular street cops, like, holding the door. And, I don't know exactly, like, how many, I think I was, like, maybe, like, 6 or 7 SWAT dudes there. And then we had a bunch of patrol guys, and then they, as more SWAT dudes rolled in, they, started kind of, replacing the patrol guys with the SWAT guys.
Yeah, and then, like, most of the patrol guys just got their pistol, right? SWAT guys are coming rifles, right? Helmets, body armor, right?
No, like, that area is pretty, fairly locked down with police guys and having patrol rifles in their car. So
yeah,
I saw a few patrol dudes with just pistols, but I saw a bunch with some rifles kind of holding up perimeter. So that was good to see, like, some of those guys.
Yeah.
Some of those PDs had their stuff together. So
yeah, I mean, think about this. The average guy, how far is he good with a pistol, right? Let's say the average guy's, let's say, good with a pistol to 10 yards.
Yeah, maybe.
You got to get within 10 yards to do some accurate shot, right? Like, to where average guy could shoot 100 yards with a red dot, no issues. Why get so close? Do the same thing.
Yeah, and definitely, there's definitely a little bit of deficiency in firearms proficiency in the LE community as a general. We see that at times on some videos, and it's unfortunate, but
hey, I wasn't even gonna go there. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't even gonna say that, but since you said it, like, we've talked about this on the range several times in different ways, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's to no fault of those guys. I mean, a lot of times some police departments, fortunately, I have a really good police department, and they're pretty good with their firearms training and stuff like that. And most of those places out there are, but when it comes down to the individual, it's like, how much work do you really want to put in? And unfortunately, a lot of police officers don't want to put in a ton of work at being proficient or excellent with their firearm. But
hey, that's real talk right there. Some guys don't want to do the work.
Right. Yeah. Kind of sucks, but
yeah.
All I can do is try to talk people into it, get into the game and, work on what I have to do. So,
yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so trading out the patrol guys for SWAT guys.
Yeah, so, like, I get there, and they first put me on the interior door that's in the ambulance bay. Like, we've got a shield out, a couple SWAT dudes. So I'll stand there for a little bit. We get a couple other dudes roll in, and they took me and another shield guy and a couple other dudes, and they put us on the exterior door. And we stood on that door for a bit, and man, it was stood there for a long while. Like, probably about 85-ish degrees in May, standing on the asphalt. It's just pretty, it's just getting hot. You're just standing there with all your kit on, not moving around. It kind of gets a little strenuous, but we just stood there for a while.
Hey, you're hunkered down behind it, and you put the shield on the ground because it's too heavy to hold?
No, man, we had a guy with just like a pistol ballistic, like a shield that we use to, like, make entry into a house. So inside they had like a more of a bunker type shield that's on wheels. They had like a more bunker style shield in there. But yeah, man, we stood there for a while and just started getting real. As soon as I got there, you know, you can hear the dude yelling, saying, "Don't come in here, I'm a killer," and you know, just saying stupid stuff. And you know, you'd hear her cry once in a while. I think he was like cracking her with, like, hitting her in the head with a gun and whatnot. Just kind of did some silly shit in there that wasn't necessary. But yeah, he was just getting mad, and we had him trapped. Started acting like a trap person would that wants to get away.
Yeah,
doing anything they can.
Hey, some regular nurse, right? Just random pulls her as the hostage. Some regular lady.
Yep. Yeah, so I'll get back to like the part where we're in there, but like how it all kind of went down. Dude, this idiot. So he gets hooked up for like, I don't know, carjacking a car or some trash like that, and he gets pinched and he's in the jail. And a couple days prior to this, he drank some peroxide or some shit like that, and they ended up, they had to send him to the hospital. So they send him to the hospital, pump his stomach, whatever. They're like, hey, you're fine, go back to jail. He doesn't want to be at jail. He's like pretty adamant about that. So a day or two later, this dummy, he like eats part of a flip flop.
What?
Yeah.
I forgot about this.
Yeah. So he eats like a chunk of his flip flop, and it gets like lodged in his intestines. So they have to like do surgery on him to get this flip flop out of him. So old boy's at the hospital, and he, you know, he's on watch. There's a guard there with him, and he needs to go to the bathroom. And I don't know, like, their policies and procedures. I don't know all that stuff, but basically,
right.
Somehow he gets free and gets in a tussle with this security guy. They, you know, get a little fight, and he ends up getting his gun from a security or from a corrections officer. And yeah, man, he kind of beats feet out of there because he doesn't want to get shot. And when he does that, dude basically tries to run out of there, but it's on a floor, like he sees like an elevator, but he can't get in the elevator because it needs like a swipe card kind of deal.
Yeah.
And so it won't work. So he goes to enter this room that he thinks is a stairs because it's like a door right next to the. Sorry, I'm driving here. So he tries to enter this door that's right next to the elevators, and when he opens the door, there's a nurse sitting there, and he's like, "Oh shit!" So he kind of grabs this nurse, you know, starts yelling at her, whatever, saying, "Give me your car keys," this and that, and gets, you know, steals like maybe her pants, and then like a hospital, like, you know, nurse's gown kind of thing. And it was funny because he had pink pants on and like a white doctor's like jacket kind of deal. And
hey, so imagine someone takes you hostage and they want your pants. So now you got to be the hostage with no drawer, like, to make this all worse, right? Like,
right? Yeah. So he grabs, and to top it off, dude's like 6'2", and she's probably like 5'1", and he's got like these pink capri pants on. So,
yeah, totally. Clam diggers. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, man. So he grabs her. In the meantime, like, this other nurse comes up, and she sees what's going on, and basically, like, I've met her since then. She's an awesome lady, like, super strong, you know, brave lady. But she basically says, like, I got my keys. Just take me. I'll take you to my car. We'll get out of here. You don't have to hurt anyone. She just does the whole thing. And he grabs her, and they start scooting, and that's the girl he's got now. So he's got a different nurse, not the one without the pants. And he kind of scrams through the hospital, runs through the ER, all that, back, all that. And he gets over, gets to the point where he's at now. And so he's locked up in this room, and he's getting a little stupid because he's trapped and doesn't know what to do. And he's got the nurse's phone. He starts saying he wants a car and all this stuff. So we're basically trying to devise a plan to, you know, get him to come out. We didn't want to, like, hurt anyone. We didn't want anyone hurt. We just want to let her go and come out, or at least let her go and deal with the situation. You know how it was, just him in there. But he wasn't having it. So
hey,
Yeah.
you let her go, you're going to get the wood shampoo. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying, he lets her go. He probably knows this ain't going well for him.
Yeah. So, I mean, probably what would have happened is, we would probably gas him, and then he probably would have ended up, like, coming out. Whether he put the gun down or not, who knows, but he would have came out eventually. We start dropping gas in there. But if it was just him, that's what we probably done.
Yeah. Hey, how convenient for the hospital that you guys gassed the decon room.
Right?
How convenient, right? Like,
just wash it down,
Yeah. This is what this room's for. Like, we got this.
Turn on the like little vacuum system and spray some water. We're all good.
Yeah.
So I didn't even think of that. It's funny. So boy's in there. He doesn't want to let her go. He wants the car, and they, at this point, like, we have our negotiations team there dealing with him, and he's really hard to hear. So he's on the other side of a, like a solid wood door, and then the exterior one's like a solid exterior metal door, cased in brick and like steel frame, all that stuff. And he doesn't want to let her go, and is begging for a car, telling us to give us a car, kill her, this and that. So negotiations is doing their thing with him, and, trying to like just buy time and trying to let her go, all this stuff. So you can kind of hear him, but it gets to the point where it's really hard to hear for the negotiator who's standing like a little ways outside the door, kind of like in an area like behind, a wall, whatever, the cinder block wall. And so they start communicating via telephone. So, they're doing their thing on the phone, trying to get him to give up, and asking like, hey, what can we do? Let's not make this worse than it is. It's not that big of a deal right now, like all that stuff. And this goes on for quite a while. It's like an hour and a half. And so he's really wanting that car. He gets really mad about the car, and finally they're like, hey, let's just give him a car with some keys that don't work to that car. So if it comes out, we can, and runs to the car, we can do whatever we have to do. Or if he comes out with a hostage, we have sniper teams set up where we can do whatever we have to do. So we kind of devised this little plan and parked the car, tell him he got the car, and now he's like, fuck y'all took too long. I don't want that car, this and that. And we're like, damn, he won't come out. So it's getting to the point like we have to make an emergency entry on the place, we have to be able to get into it. And we couldn't really like explosive breach on the exterior door because it's a very small room, metal door. We don't know where they're at, and like smack somebody with a door. All this like just a lot of like things that didn't allow us to like get into that room any other way. So we're like, we asked somebody like, hey, does maintenance have a key to this exterior door? And they like, well, let's check. So they go and find a maintenance dude. It was funny. So they kind of pull us off the door, and we're like behind the ambulance bay. We're just kind of chilling there, and the dude comes down, and I remember him like walking up, and he's got this big ring, and he's got like 6 keys on. And he walks up and he goes, I'm 50-60% sure this is the key. And we were just all like, oh, man, why couldn't you like say 90% or this is the key, you know what I'm saying? So we're like, we gotta like fucking hope this is the key. So we get the key, we tape all the other keys so it's not making noise. And then they hand me the key, I put my rifle down so I can go and set the key so if we have to make entry again. So we kind of walk up on the door, I got the shield guy, I'm standing behind the brick, and we're like telling the negotiator to talk louder. So they're like talking back and forth and like trying to like, make it so they don't hear me putting this key in. And it was like the craziest, most terrifying moment of my life. I'm putting like this key in, and I'm choked up on the key. So there's like, like the 1/8 of an inch of the key hanging out my fingertips, and I'm like, click, and it was so loud. I got hearing protection. I was like, click, God damn it. And like, she's like talking. I'm like, click, click. And it sounded so loud, but it probably wasn't loud. It sounded loud to me. And, all of a sudden I get the key like halfway in, and this dude pounds on the other door, and he's like, y'all better stop fucking with that door. And I was just like, oh no. And then like, he starts yelling on the phone. So I'm like, oh, it's go time. And like, I'm like, click, click, click. And I hear somebody on comms like, they're like, "Hey, is the key set yet?" And I'm just standing there doing the like knife across the throat thing, like, "Shut up, I'm trying, man." You know? Like, I'm like getting this key in there. Finally, I get the key in, and we just basically back up, away from the door. I'm like, get back around the edge of the ambulance bay, and I'm like, "Hey, look, I got the key in, but like right when I let it go, it like popped out a little bit. So whoever has to turn that key, make sure you push the key in before you turn it, so we don't snap the key off." And our shield guy, he's like a vanilla gorilla, man. He's like this giant dude. He looks like the Hulk, and he's like 5'8" or so, but he's giant dude. And so he's my shield guy, really good in there. And then we go back up to the door and hear her crying a little bit more and crying a lot more, and then it just gets quiet. And we're sitting there and like we're trying to figure out, okay, what do we got to do? He's not like shooting or anything, whatever. So we're just kind of chilling, waiting, and I'm like staring at the bricks on the wall, like they're telling me this guy's like 6'2". So I'm thinking like, okay, if he peeks out the door, he's probably gonna crouch a little bit. So I got this like little spot, like about 10 inches, like counted on the bricks, and I'm looking at these bricks, just like doing like little up drills on the brick, because I was like, if this dude peeks out, I'm taking this shot. And yeah, he never peeked out, but stood there for a while, like at the ready, man, just like, oh, my arms are so tired, like holding that gun up that long.
Yeah, how many hours has it been by now?
At that point, it was probably about 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours and a half, somewhere in that area.
Yeah. I don't think people understand like how heavy guns get like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You pick it up and you're like, dude, this gun's light, man. And then like, hold it up.
Yeah.
It's like, like in the Marine Corps, I don't know if they did it to you in the Army, but boot camp, like we'd mess up and they'd have us like holding the front sight post, like straight out in front of us, like holding that gun up, and it gets heavy fast.
Yeah, that's called punishment in the Army.
Oh yeah, I mean they used to get us with that all the time, man. Oh, it was horrible. Yeah, man. So we stood there for a while, and like one of the funny things too, like I remember standing there next to my shield guy, and I'm standing there and I'm just sweating, and I'm like, dude, I fucking stink, man. I just remember going, Bobby, I'm sorry, man, I stink. He's like, it's all right, man, I stink too. I was just like, oh, thank God. But yeah, just sweat pouring down, standing out there in the sun, just beating down on you.
Dude, things that goes through your mind when you're bored at the worst time.
Right? I'm telling you, man. There was some silly shit that went through my brain, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you're standing out there and like, you don't hear the hostage, so the hostage could possibly be dead right now. You're tired of looking at the bricks, the gun's heavy, and you're like, dang, I stink, dog.
Right. Well, we knew she wasn't dead. I mean, we hear like a little whimper out of her here and there, but like for the most part, from her crying pretty much constantly and almost like repeating some of the things that he said, like like give him like I want a car, and then she'd be like, just give him a fucking car and get me out of here, like kind of stuff like that. And but like just kind of the crying got less. She was kind of more or less whimpering here and there, and we're standing there and just trying to figure out our next plan of action. So yeah, we're standing there, and then all of a sudden, comms comes on, and we get the prepare for countdown to assault. So the reason we did our prepare for countdown to assault was, he started calling people on the phone, and you can hear him actually in there, like saying saying goodbyes. Like he's like, I want to talk to my sister, I'll talk to his sister, and they're like telling him, let him go, whatever. And then he's like, no, love you, I love you. I'm not going back to jail, like stuff like that. And then he'd ask that person for like another number, because he's got the nurse's phone. So he asked for another number, and he dials that number up, and then calls the next person, says goodbye, whatever. So he gets about like 1 or 2 into these. Eventually he's gonna run out of people say bye. So at that point they shut his phone off, or the phone off that he had, and he loses his shit, man. He gets like super mad about the phone, and then just gets crazy about it. And that's when we can tell he was kind of getting out of control and we need to do something. So they gave us the prepare countdown to assault. At that moment, you know, like I'm standing 3 feet from the door with my shield guy in front of me, a couple guys behind me. And, you know, they do the prepare for countdown to assault. I remember my team leader, my TL, he's like, you know, basically says, hey, Bobby, you know, if shit goes south, ditch that shield, you're going to breach. Joz, you know what you got to do. And kind of like that deal. He was right behind me. And then we had 2 guys behind him and a medic. And, yeah, they say prepare for countdown to assault. I'm waiting for that, you know, 3, 2, 1, assault kind of deal. And, all of a sudden, we didn't get that. We just heard a gunshot, and it was a gunshot, and my CL's like, go! And our shield guy, he like tossed that shield and hit the door like a champ. And I always give him like all the credit in the world because he made that all happen. But yeah, he definitely got the door open, man. I just remember seeing him like when he hit the door, he just like face first into the brick. Boom! The door swung open, and right in front of me, about probably 8 feet away, 8 feet away, was the dude holding the nurse in the traditional like hostage. You know, his head's like right next to her head, and he's pulled in, you know, the arm around her neck, pulling her in. Yeah, and and then, you know, he didn't shoot her. He was pissed off that they didn't put the phone back on or get him a new phone. So he shot towards where the negotiators were talking, and yeah, so
smart.
Yeah. He shot that way, and then we breached the door, and because he was looking to his left, we came through the door that was directly in front of him. And when the door popped, I just remember him like his like weight kind of went down. The gun started coming towards me. And I remember, like, man, I could see right down that damn barrel. It was like a 45 caliber Glock. Excuse me. And then, yeah, I just remember like that. I really didn't have like tunnel vision, but I do remember seeing like the lands and grooves of that dirty barrel, like right down it. And I was like, oh shit! And gun came up. I cracked off a round. He started driving to his right, or I'm sorry, his left, and then my right, he was driving that way, and then I shot another one, and I saw him like kind of wince, and I was like, ooh, I got him. And then he still had the gun in his hand, and somehow, I don't know how or what happened, he was still pointing that gun, but I ended up on the other side of his arm and leaning in to like get my muzzle past her because she's going absolutely just crying so loud, and I just kind of leaned in. My rifle was about, I don't know, 2-3 inches from his face, and cracked one off, and everything just stopped. And I'm looking at this dude's face, and I'm like, you fucking missed him. How did you miss him? Shoot him again. So I start pulling the trigger, and time started. I didn't see like an impact happen. I didn't see a hole. I didn't see none of that. But I just remember seeing like tattoos on him. I remember seeing like his hairline, like in the follicles of his hair, like the pores in his skin. It was like super clear as day. And then time just started going, woo, like picking back up like super quick. And he just kind of like, got hung up, and then he was hung up. There's a sink in the corner, and it kind of created this whip effect. And he hit the ground, and when his head hit the ground, it just like opened up, and I was like, kind of, my momentum was still going forward, and I kind of did the old like, you know, big step forward because my momentum was still going, and looked at him, and I was just like, put the gun on safe, and I remember somebody yelling, like, get the hostage out of here. And like, I remember her there screaming, and then get the hostage out of here, and she's gone. I was like, what the fuck just happened? You know, it's like they teleported her somewhere. It was really crazy.
Yeah, hey, you think that lady's gonna stick around through all that? Hell no, she's gone.
True, man, true. So yeah, man, it was a pretty crazy day. You know,
okay, so let me ask you this. Hold on, before we go farther. Let me ask you this. You clip this dude through like the lat, right? Through the shoulder or under the armpit, through the lat in the first round?
Yeah, I kind grazed him or hit him in the lat. Like, it wasn't like deep into the lat. It was just kind of like grazed him or hit him in the lat. And, you know, that first impact, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say is, which is just under the gun because you were focused on the gun, correct?
100%. Yep. I saw that gun. My gun came up and I was just like, dot. I don't remember seeing my dot, but I'm sure I was looking right at it. Like you teach in a lot of in your classes, you shoot where you look. And I was definitely looking there.
Yeah. And it went just low of the gun, went through his lat. And then where'd the next one go? How'd that one go?
So that was as he was moving to his left. He was kind of like when the door opened, he was kind of starting that like crouch and move. And, you know, I cracked that first round off. He was still kind of like now he's like starting to, you know, your weight sits. And then like as you move, you kind of like go to stand a little bit. And he kind of stood and was driving to his left side. And I was like kind of tracking him and I shot and I thought I hit him like neck or collarbone area because I saw him wince. And then, later on just discovered like that's not what happened. The first round actually hit his lat. The second round actually missed him. Like it went right between his neck and his shoulder, hit the wall. And then obviously my third one, I got him. And this is all within like 6 feet. So like I was kind of like, you know, it was basically like, you know, 2 or 3 big steps, shot, lean in, shot. So it was like super fast, you know, like, you know, 2 seconds long maybe, if that, you know.
Yeah. I wonder if the wince was the bullet hit the wall and Spall just chewed up his back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could have been. I was kind of thinking maybe, I don't know how much, because it was like those subway tiles, so I don't know. It was a pretty clean hole. I don't know how much frag he got from it, and the bullet held together really well. So I think the way I was kind of, you know, I don't know if this is true, but the way your brain works, because that's like the biggest thing after all this happened, like with me, like I didn't have problems shooting a dude, none of that. Like my thing was like how crazy your brain works in a situation like that. And, I was thinking real. I was thinking that first round hit him. My second round I shot and missed, but I saw him wincing, and I think it was just that short time where it hit him, and it took him that short time to realize that he was wincing, and I saw him wince like right when I shot my round. So I think it hit him, and then he was just kind of like, "Ow, that hurt!" But I was already pulling that second round, and I thought that one hit him, but it did.
Yeah. And then where'd the third one go?
I hit him like right above his, like right at his left eyebrow, like right at his left eyebrow.
Yeah, nugget. You got a good nugget shot. That'll shut you down.
Right. Yeah. It definitely lights out for sure. He just basically did the old like seize up for a second, and he was hung up on that sink that's in there. And after his body like kind of figured out the angle to fall, he kind of got this whip effect of his upper body and it hit the floor and plop. And I just saw like everything come out, and I was like, "Dang, I got him." Put my gun on safe, and then I remember like putting my hands on my head, and I was just like, "Fuck!" I don't know why I did it, but yeah.
Yeah. And then, hey, so where's the other dude at this point? If you're 6 feet away and the other dude got the door, like, gotta be dudes right on your back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember, I was like right there, and I kind of remember like I don't know if this is my brain playing tricks on me or what, but, I kind of remember seeing like peripherally, like right after I shot him, like silhouette, like right in the door, and like right there next to me. And that was my TL, who's like kind of a cool story. Like I knew this guy since I was a young cop. I've been a cop for 20 years, and I met him probably my first year in, man. And he was like a patrol dude for the county, and super cool guy. I have always, you know, respected him, and it's just one of those guys. He's got like that leadership quality, you know, like just, you know, he's just got it, you know, like some people you can't just make a leader sometimes they just have that thing. And
right.
He was one of those guys, man, and I've always looked up to him, and it was awesome that I got to like, you know, like when I got on the team in my interview, he like, you know, stood up and said, "Hey," you know, like in front of all the other guys, said, "Hey, I've known this guy for X amount of years, and he's a solid guy. Like I think it'd be a you know, good to have him on the team and whatnot." So he kind of like spoke out for me, which is friggin' awesome. Like a guy that I looked up to, like saying, "Yeah, I'll put him on the team," and then learning from him and on the team. And then, having him be there right next to me when that happened. And so that was really cool,
Yeah. And he was right there in the room with you?
Yep, he's right next to me. He was right behind me. He was my TL that told us to go when the shot went off. So,
yeah. Awesome. So you saved the hostage.
Yeah.
Right? You had to take the classic hostage shot, gun to the neck, arm around the throat, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I'd also say this is like, in those hostage shots, right? Like that head, I always call it like safe bracketing for lack of a better term. Like, you don't want to shoot the guy's body while he's doing the classic arm around the neck of the hostage gun, right? Like the bigger part of the body at that point and the bigger room for air is the head.
Yeah, for him, it was definitely like all I can see was his head. And, luckily, like he didn't have like the gun up to her head, like kind of like hiding behind his hand in the gun. He was like pointing it. So like it was like pointed at the other door and he just swung it around straight arm at the door we came in. And his head was like goddamn balloon right there. Like, so I'm still mad at myself. It wasn't one round, but
hey man, I tell this all the time. Like, the world is not a one shot, one kill place. That sounds great and it looks great on PowerPoint. And it sounds great when you're drinking with your buddies, but I'm going to tell you this: the world's a messy bitch, and that ain't real. You know what I mean? It could happen, sure, it could happen, but like, think about this: like, this dude levels the pistol at you, right? Mm-hmm. He's aimed at another door. He levels at you. Like, how long you think those 3 shots took?
Man, I think from the time I saw his gun pointed, like saw him moving, so the time the door opened, I saw his arm swing around like, oh shit. And to the time my first round broke, it had to have been like 0.5, like literally like 0.5 seconds. And then the next, it was just like bang, bang, bang. And I mean, it couldn't have taken from the time I saw his gun to the time I killed him. It couldn't have taken more than 2 seconds. But by far, like, no longer than 2 seconds.
Bro, I would probably say you're probably in the 1 second range, right? Just thinking about it, like timing of it, like, especially if you took 3 quick shots, especially if your first shot hit him in the lat, your second shot, he's now wincing from the first shot. That's how quick that was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's, we're talking quarter second-ish, right? And then, the third shot to the head, I mean, from, the neck shoulder area with the gun to the head, I bet you were at like probably half second on the first shot, 3/4 of a second on the second shot, 1 second-ish on the third shot, and somewhere in that. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, that's probably sounds about right. Yeah.
I mean, but, what is crazy is I tell people all the time, like, how the brain thinks through those situations, what it sees, what it focuses on, and, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't get the whole what happened until later when you're trying to piece it together. Like, holy shit. Like,
yeah, and I had a pretty good grasp of it. I was pretty sure I shot 3 rounds. And, like, I remembered a lot of what happened. The one thing that I thought about afterwards is when I saw him wince, and then when I actually killed him, like, and I was like, you missed him. Afterwards, like, a couple days later, I was like, you know what? Like, that dude's eyes were his eyes were closed because he was wincing, but, like, when the round impacted, like, it bulged his eyes out. And, like, it's not like his eyes were hanging out of his head. His eyes were closed, and he just, like, had that little, like, overpressure in his head, and it was like, bloop. And, when I think back about that, I was just like, oh yeah, if I would have just noticed his eyes bulged out like that, I would have known that I got him. But like, I just like pulled the trigger and I was like, how come I didn't see it impact on him? Or how come I didn't see like a little hole hit him? Or how come some shit didn't come out the back of his head? Or none of that. Yeah. It was just like, I was just looking at him like, and time just stopped. I'm looking at him like, where the fuck did it go? I know I hit him, kind of deal. And, yeah.
You're like, dang it, I'm 6 feet away. Like, what?
Well, the last one, I was like, 3 inches away. So I was like, how did you miss?
Right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and I tell guys all the time, like, all the time I get asked about, like, well, what about a shoot through situation? And I tell guys all the time, my
Like speed.
experience. Yeah. My experience, the bullet is a great body, a bullet trap.
Yeah. This one didn't come out of it.
Yeah, and with clothes and with, like stuff like that, like,
Bone
like,
and yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to see the bullets. You're not, and then, we talked about this on the range the other day. A buddy of mine shot a guy through the armpit, through the chest. No bullet holes, no nothing. Just two, like, it looked like someone took a red Sharpie and put a dot and an inch lower dot, and that was it. That's all there was. Like. And then I thought the dude, like, I'm like, dude, I didn't want to walk up on him. I'm like, this fucker's still alive. AK next to him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, cover me. I creep up. I eye thump him. And like, he doesn't.
That made me laugh.
Yeah.
When you tell that, you're like, thump.
Hey, the eye thump works, right? So I'm like,
yeah.
And he doesn't move. And my brain's like, yo, can't be real. Thump him again. And then, like, and then after a couple thumps, it was like, fuck, I think this guy's dead. But like, there's no blood. There's no.
Would you scare him to death? What's going on here?
Yeah. So, I mean, think about this. Like, with clothes and that, you can't see that. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, guys talk all this shit, but it's like, you can't see that. You can't notice shit like that. And then in the moment, like, it's going so quick, you don't even have all the answers. Like,
yeah.
You know
and it's
what I
weird.
mean? Like,
yeah, and that's super weird. It goes quick, but it doesn't go quick. It's so right. Damn. Like, I was having conversations in my head as it was going, but everything was moving super slow. But I was talking like I'm talking right now, like super fast. So that's like the really weird thing about it is it's like I was like, it's so weird. You think you'd be talking like this? No, man. Like, it's like everything's moving slow, and I'm just like having this conversation with me, like with myself. Yeah, it was strange.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for real, right? Well, hey, pro tip for the listeners, if you shoot a guy up in the eyebrow, you may not see the bullet hole. However, if the eyes are closed and then pop open because they're bulged, probably some overpressure stuff going on in the nugget.
Oh, yeah. They definitely, like, they stayed closed, but he had, like, they were just like Bill Cosby eyes, like, bloop, they're just like kind of popped out,
Be like, it was weird. Bitch, why are you looking at me so funny? Like,
yeah, man, it was kind of strange. Oh, one of the other things I was going to tell you too, like right before we went in, they gave that countdown to assault. It's kind of funny because I had one of them little conversations with myself. I'm standing there and I'm just like, as soon as they say that, I was like, I'm about to get shot in the fuck face. And I'm like, and then I said it out loud. I was like, I'm about to face. And Bobby's like, no, you'll be good, man. I'm like, no, I'm about to get shot in the fuck face. And he's like, you'll be good. And I'm like, I start thinking to myself, I was like, no, man, like, you can't be at a better place to get shot. I'm at the hospital. And I'm like, and I got body armor on, so he's not going to kill me if he hits me. And then I was just like, more than likely he's probably going to shoot my gun or my hands because my rifle is going to be up in front of my face. And then I started thinking of, I had that scene from Dumb and Dumber run through my head where they, like Larry or whatever the one is, he's in the bedroom and they shoot him. And then like the other dude comes in, he's like crying. And then like he like wakes up and he pulls open his shirt and he's got the vest on. And then he's like, it's okay. I had a bulletproof vest. And then he's like, well, what if they shot you in the face, Harry? That like scene ran through my mind and I kind of giggled. And I remember my shield dude kind of like looking back over his shoulder, like, what the fuck is this nut laughing about? It was kind of funny.
Oh man, that is funny. Yeah. Well, think about this. Like a lot of time stuff I've seen is guys have a certain amount of intuition, whatever you want to call it, about what's about to go down, right? Uh-huh. What if the getting shot in the face is your intuition, knowing what's going to happen, but only, you thought it was you. But look what happened. You shot another dude in the face, right? So maybe your intuition was trying to tell you something and you took it the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe, man. I never thought of it that way, to be honest.
Yeah, that's real talk, man. I'll tell you, guys would have tuition once in a while. Like, there's one night we were raising this house, and I just start, I was kind of in charge, and I'm like, dude, get cover, you get better cover, you move, you move, you move, you move, and then as soon as we all got moved and all my guys were in place, shots start going off, and there was guys on the roof, man, and the snipers had to shoot them, right? But like later, one of my guys was like, man, how did you know like that was gonna happen? And I was like, I pay attention.
Didn't.
and well, I told him, I was like, I pay attention to what's going on, right? And he was like, and like, of course, that's what your boss would tell you. And then later, I was thinking about.
Hold on a second, buddy. I'm losing you a little bit.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Sorry.
You hear me? Hello? Yeah. You hear me?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
How about now? Can you hear me better?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. I think my phone picked up. I think my phone picked up on my Wi-Fi because I pulled into my driveway and I was only getting half-ass Wi-Fi outside. Sorry about that. Apologize.
No, I'm good. Yeah, but I was like, I pay attention. You know what I mean? And like, I know, like, one of my newer guys, he's thinking like, dang, this is experience. You know what I mean? When later I was thinking about it, like, I'm not sure. Something told me start watching the roof, but I didn't have any indicators. I just thought that, and then at times guys would have like this intuition, or the gut feeling. The cops have the gut feeling in the TV shows. Like, most people are right. You just got to learn like that experience to trust it. You know what I mean?
Hold on just a second. I'm coming.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, sorry. The wife came out. She's like, what are you doing?
Be like, yo, I'm podcasting.
Yeah, right?
All right, so look, let me ask you this, because I know you probably got to go here in a minute.
No, I'm not in a rush, buddy.
Okay. What do you think you could have done better?
Man.
Looking back on it, right? Like, because look, you got the job done. It's all good. Yeah. You know what I mean? But looking back on it, like, what do you think? So,
to be honest, like, I think about it a lot, and I think I had more time to make a better shot. I really do. I think I reacted like super quick, but I think if I would have just like took an extra half a second, I could have like just like put it right in his eye socket. Like, to be honest. So I think the way your brain works, it's seeing things and processing things so quickly. I think I had time to just a one and doneer. But I like jumped the gun, so to speak. I was just like, oh shit, I got to do this right now. And it was probably only like, a quarter of a second, of me like seeing the gun and shooting. It probably happened that quick. And then, I probably could have like, instead of just shooting that quick, just took my time a little bit more and just made a good shot,
So did the guy didn't get a shot off, right?
No, like that was one of the other things I didn't remember too much. I was like, I don't know, like the gun was pointing at me. I don't remember seeing a flash or anything, but then, some of the other guys in my stick thought I think like 4 of them said that he shot the gun, but he didn't shoot the gun. He only shot the one round that made us, launch.
Okay, think about this. The final shot, we've already talked about this a little bit. The final shot came at about a second. You think shooting your first round in 3/4 of a second, you could have ended it a quarter second sooner, right? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, so like from 1 to 3, like let's say it was like 1.75 seconds. If I would have just like not shot those other 2 shots and just took aim, I think it would have been like a 0.75 shot. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It would have just been like quicker. Right. Yeah.
Do you do discrimination training on Turner targets and stuff like this?
Not so much on Turner targets, but like we'll do like HR training where we set up like an HR situation with paper targets and we might use like sim rounds or something.
Yeah.
Or like other times we'll have like role players and like, we have to divide the attention and just like, do it that way. Yeah, the paper ones are fairly easy. It's just kind of like get your shot. But when we have like an actual role player that's moving and turning and stuff like that, those are where it's at. That stuff's where it's at for sure.
Yeah, we used to do this all the time, and we talked about this the other day in the raid. Discrimination is training within itself. And this is hard to mimic on a range, right? Because what needs to happen is, the human nature aspect of it, is you see the gun, your first shot was at the gun. Why?
Lost you a little bit,
looking at the gun. Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, so I hear you.
Your first shot was at the gun because that's where you were looking, because the gun is the threat. But through training, what you have to do is see the gun, but look for the kill shot, which is like next level training. And one of the things we used to do is we'd put up 5 targets, cartoon targets, maybe between 1 and 3 bad guys, right? And out of 5, right? So there's like 3 good guys, 2 bad guys, for example, or 2 good guys. And then what you'd have to do in 2.5 seconds, they'd turn and you'd have to read them. Look at the hands, right? Shoot the person. And what I'd say is, as you're looking at a human being, they're facing you, you have the mirror effect, right? So to look at the right hand, because the majority of the world is right-handed, you need to, right, look at the left side first.
Yeah.
Right? So you're looking left, you're looking to your left, which would, if someone is facing you left and right, you're looking at their right hand first, their left hand second. You see a gun, you shoot that person center of the chest or head, right? And then repeat that process. And this is really a 4-step process. So it's those turner targets, keeping those times low, making those snap decisions will make that situation easier in the future for you, right? Because you can't get sucked into the gun. You have to see the gun, know it's a threat, right? But still do your business somewhere else. That's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, doing it here in the States is a little different because you definitely have a lot more, discrimination that you have to achieve. In like doing it overseas, like I'm assuming it's kind of like, hey, dude, bad guy, or a dude with an AK, like, gonna be a bad guy, right? And
hey, here it's way easier to see.
Yeah, yeah, that too. But like, yeah, here it's like, like you run up on, you get called to something, and there's a dude standing there with a gun, like pointing at somebody on the ground, and like, yeah, you want to shoot that guy, but did he just smoke like a dude that was gonna shoot him? Like, is a CCL dude that like just smoked some guy and not line of shooting wrong guy, or so there's like a little bit of a little bit more processing involved,
I agree, but I also would say, I mean, this is hard. Look, I train, I'm on the range all the time. This is even, the discrimination piece is even hard for me to train, right? Or do with guys, because if you don't have turners or some type of logistics to give you these snap, you got to make these snap decisions, right? You can't train at it. So if I can't train guys at it that well, what's the average dude out there doing for this situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a training piece. It's tough to do.
Man.
It's tough.
It is. You need like a little remote control car with targets on it or something.
Don't think I haven't tried. Don't think I haven't tried. Yeah,
we were going to try it on the team, and we would look at like RC cars and stuff, but we ended up not doing it.
The problem is the target has to stand up so tall, you need a really heavy base so it doesn't flip over. Anyway.
Yeah.
Side point. So, okay, what else do you think you could have done better?
Oh, man. Pretty much the thing I always think about, as far as that goes.
Hey, you ever see the nurse again?
I did, man. It took a long time, but it like really bothered me that like I really wanted to meet her. It bothered me that I could be like standing in a grocery store and she could be like in line in front of me, and I would.
That makes sense.
No. quite, yeah, man. So super cool lady. Yeah, really cool lady. Country
Awesome,
girl
man.
kind of thing. Yeah.
But she's tough to volunteer herself over someone else with no doors. You know what I mean? Like, what a troop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
imagine getting taken hostage and someone sticks a gun to your head and the first thing they tell you, give me your pants.
Yeah, right.
Be like, hey, I'd just be like, yo, I'm going to shoot you straight. I'm a commando. I'm commando. Yo, you don't want to see this. You don't want to go here. Like, I'll be your hostage. It's cool. But I'll help you get a pair. I'll get you some drawers from somewhere else. We don't want to do this. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah. What is going on here?
Imagine like, oh, whoa, what's going on here? So a dude's got a dude hostage. Why do I see the front dude's penis? Oh, yeah. The things your brain thinks of in the worst situations of your life. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm telling you, man. Like, yeah, especially like, and it's very similar with like military humor, like cop humor. It's very similar.
Yeah.
Like, so the things you think of to deal with the shitty stuff that you see, you have to have a dark sense of humor, and a lot of it is super funny, but probably inappropriate. You wouldn't say that in public, but we laugh and try to deal with it the best that we can, and it is what it is, and you got to. That's your pressure relief valve, right? Like, I'll tell you a story. Is I used to do the tandem instructor kind of stuff, and I used to jump master all the time because, like, when I went through the tandem school, the SEALs ran it, and like the dude would be like on the bus on that airplane, like, dude, sorry if you don't hit the drop zone, I'm a little hungover, and everyone would be like, ha 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 ha. And at the time, he's like, no, seriously.
Yeah, no. At the time, as I got to jump another human being for the first time, right? I'm like, oh yeah, fucking with the candidate, the students, whoever, whatever you want to call it. It's like, I get it. Ha 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 ha. Yo, we didn't hit the drop zone. We landed out in the desert, fucking eating sand, like burned in because it's fucking sagebrush and shit, right? So when I would go back to be an instructor, I'd tell, it was a really good friend of mine. He was a SEAL also, but I'd tell him, I'm like, hey dude, I'll jump master every jump, make sure everyone hits the drop zone. And like after like a week of that, he's like, how do you do that? And I didn't want to tell him, like, the Army has a sheet. You fill out the sheet and it tells you what to do. I didn't even get there. I was like, dog, I just do my best. I want to make sure everyone hits the drop zone. So one of the things I used to do is I used to wear my MP3 player under my skydive helmet, and like, cause I'd be jump master and I'd be up in the plane for hours. You know what I mean? I just listen to music because you can't hear anything anyway, right? So I got like earbuds in, and I'm listening to that song, "Dope, Die Motherfucker Die."
Yeah.
Right? So I'm jump master and I'm on the ramp. Green light goes. I'm giving a guy command to get out of the plane. It's like, he's new to jumping bundles and stuff. And I'm on the ramp like, die, motherfucker, die, right? Well, I'm just into the song. I'm singing along. Hey, this dude, and like, we end up being good friends later, but this dude grabs me and he's like, you mind not fucking saying that right now? You know what I mean? And I'm like, for a second there, take me back. I'm like, what the fuck's he talking about? I'm like, oh shit, I'm singing along with die motherfucker die, right? So I was like, I look, the green light comes on, I lean back and I point out the back of the aircraft. I'm like, get the fuck out. And he's like looking at me like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And then later, I was like, dude, I was just singing along and I was listening to my fucking iPod, while I'm jump mastering for you guys. And he was like, dude, you're on the ramp just screaming, die, motherfucker, die, over and over. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the song. I was singing along. Matter of fact, I don't think there's any other words. I think that's all they say the whole time. I can only imagine your buddy like, hey, I'm gonna get shot in the face. Shut the fuck up. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
that's what he was today.
That's kind of how he was.
Be like,
you got a shield, bitch.
Yeah. Be like, dude, I'm gonna get shot. Like, we're at the fucking hospital. What are you worried about? Just shut the fuck up. Focus.
I'm telling you, man, it went through my head. I was like, dude, you can't be at a better place to get shot. You're at a goddamn hospital.
Yeah. Be like, doing a hit at the hospital? Genius. Who thought this through, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, man. For reals, it was like kind of funny, like all the shit that went through my head standing there that day. And like weird things that kind of like trip me out, like for like if I put a key into a fucking like to a door to the house, not like my car, but like a house door or something like that, dude, it like just takes me like right back there. Or if I'm driving down the road and I smell fresh cut grass, it takes me right back there because they were like mowing the lawns that day at the hospital. So it's just weird things that kind of like trip my brain out, and I'm like, and like I'll just catch myself kind of spacing out like thinking about it. So it's strange.
Next time we go to dinner or something, I see you using your keys. I'm gonna be like, hurry up with the fucking keys! Come on, let's go! You're gonna be like, what the fuck?
What? Yeah.
You're like, I'm 60% of the time, this key works every time. Let's do this.
Yeah, man, that was a trip, man. I remember like me and my TL just kind of looking at each other and smiling, like, oh Jesus, 60%? Like, could you give us better odds there?
Yeah. Well, you got to think the guy who's holding the keys and cleaning the hospital probably ain't a rocket scientist either. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, maybe I don't know. Like maybe he's like some engineer guy or something. I don't know. He might be like genius, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, it's probably just some fucking pothead who's fucking mops the place. Like, go bring the keys down. Like,
yeah. They had to find the one dude who has like there's like a little cabinet in the back of the hospital because like they've never unlocked that door before.
Yeah. Like, wait, why are we unlocking that door? That door's locked? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, wait, what door? We have a door there?
All right, man. Cool. Well, hey, thanks. I'll wrap this up. Like, hey, this is the SOB podcast. I'm here with my man, Joz. Look, I'll give you the final word. What do you want to tell the guys before we end this?
I guess I would tell them, like I tell everyone, like when I teach police officers, I tell them to stick to the fundamentals and work the shit out of them because the more hard drive you can free up upstairs, the more you can think about the task at hand, and it literally paid off for me. And the last thing I would say is take some classes with Shrek here, man. Like, it's good stuff for sure, man. I've taken a couple of them, so yeah.
Shameless plug. I love that.
Yeah, man.
That's my favorite part of the podcast, but part of that besides the eyeball thing. But all right, man. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Shrek, man. Hope to see you again. Hope to see you again in the near future here.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, buddy. Be good.
Bye.
All right.
Yeah. Bye.